Greetings and welcome back to Hiveswap Friendsim. Last time we had we had a kid. Kid's nice. Kids full of energy. They're cute. They're nice. And we kept her safe. After keeping us not safe, but that's alternative timelines. Ignore those. Those are bad dreams or something like that. Anyway. Now we're actually close to the final stretch. 16, 17, and 18. Getting close. This is amazing. But volume 16 of Cult and Captivation. Cultivation and Captivation. Oh dear. Okay, these two both come like trouble apparently. Oh dear. You crash landed on Alternia 16 long episodes ago. And sometimes you feel like you've been here forever. You bet. I started this like 2 months ago, in like January, I think, something like that. It's now the middle of March. You've had many adventures and met many Alternians, none of whom have become your friends. All, obviously. But now, for some reason, you have a hunch that you're near the end of your Alternian travels. Yeah, no shit. For one thing, you seem to be coming to the edge of the populated region you've been walking through all the time you've been here. For another, the intense craving that has animated you throughout your journey feels like it might be waning. Bullshit. The episode count is just ending. It's not quite gone, but like a diner who's stuffed himself to bursting but is still seeking that last sweet morsel that will make his meal complete, you're still on the prowl for the very sweetest morsel of friendship. Now let's go talk to Mr. Fozzer, another active person with gloves, a red blood. Well, rust blood I guess they're called. Oh, sad music, dramatic music, oh dear. Desolation music. The night has turned foggy, and you can't see far in any direction, but you seem to be surrounded on every side with bare ground, hummocked and pitted almost like a weird abstract sculpture and covered with greenish moss. Based on the experience you've had with Alternian flora, you imagine the moss is probably poisonous, acidic, explosive, or something of that nature. Suddenly, a shadow loops up out of the darkness, making you jump, but it's only a leaning signpost. As you move closer, you can see that the sign says, "Welcome to Happy Absence Pit Park." And before you can figure out what that might be, you hear a voice muttering to itself in the fog, and a sound like dirt being shoveled. "Shovel, shovel, toil and trouble, O bloods of the world, ignite!" You move cautiously toward the voice until the figure of a troll emerges from the fog. He seems to be digging in the hard bare ground. We have an actual rebel, eh? Straight up. Oh, he's singing. I can't sing for shit. Plus I'm doing the whispering voice thing, sort of. "There is a tide in the affairs of trolls which, taken at the flood, leads onto the workers' paradise." You clear your throat, and the troll turns swiftly. Who's there, I say?" You announce soothingly that you're just a poor wayfaring stranger. "Not a ghost or any nonsense like that." You confirm that you are not. "Good, because I don't believe in them. I'm a dialectic materialist." "Well, if you're not a ghost, who are you?" You explain that you're a humble alien who recently, well, okay, not so recently, crashed on Alternia, and who's been looking ever since for... You brusquely trail off into a mumble. The troll snorts and comes close to study you. His breath is not of the freshest. "An alien? Well, you are of the color cheese, but it could be makeup. You could be a high blood in disguise, come to watch poor little Fozzer Veil's pursuing his humble perturber for some unknown reason of your own." Fozzer rubs at the exposed skin of your arm to see if the makeup will come off. It doesn't, but he's still suspicious. "A real alien would know what outer space is like. Describe outer space to me." You describe attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion, and watching sea beams glitter in the dark near the town Hauser gate. You express the belief that all those moments will be lost in time like tears in the rain. Oh, for fuck's sake, okay, yeah, thank you, Blade Runner, thank you. Thanks, It's a good movie. Yeah, Blade Runner. These authentic depictions seem to satisfy Fozzer. He nods his head and seems to think. He doesn't appear to be a fast thinker. Finally, he seems to have an idea. "Do the cheese entities where you come from have a strong consciousness of class struggle? You have no idea what he's talking about, but you are always good at guessing the right answer in multiple choice tests. You assure him that the people where you come from have such a strong consciousness of class struggle that they use it to jack up their cars when they get flat tires. A big smile overspreads Fozzer's face and he pumps his fist in the air. Pleased to meet you, comrade alien. All power to the workers. I imagine that finding me performing the honest labor of the working class makes you feel right at home. Okay. Oh, he's straight up a communist, that's fine. You assure him that it does, yeah. Honest labor ain't much, but it's honest work and all that jazz. I suppose that you wish you could come and share in some simple proletarian joys and sorrows of the Alternian oppressed classes. You're not sure what proletarian means, but sharing joys and sorrows sounds like a hopeful prelude to friendship, so you say you were just thinking that you would like to share that kind of joys and sorrows. Easily done, comrade. Here, take this soil perturbation lance. You can enter the solidarity with the Alternian working class right now. No, don't thank me. Freedom, brotherhood, and equality is my motto. Conduct your perturbations right here if you please. He points to where he was shoveling, and you begin shoveling there too. The moss that covers the ground is tough as leather, and the Alternian soil is rocky, hard, and unforgiving. No surprise there. And before long, you're sweating profusely. But no exertion is too great for the pursuit of friendship. Fozzer watches your labor with brotherly satisfaction. Class solidarity is a wonderful thing, isn't it? For each can accord to his ability, to each according to his need. You look like a walking cheese, but your muscular development is impressive. So just to pass the time while you labor in solidarity, what do you think of our planet? What has been your impression of it what is it from outer space? I suppose it's no worse than a lot of places, with some good points and some bad. It's by far the worst place you've ever seen or heard of. I mean, Alternia is pretty fucking horrible. It's one of the worst places ever. Let's be honest here. The feeling comes over you suddenly that nothing can be more important than truth. Truth is at the foundation of all real friendship. Truth sets you free. Honesty is the best policy. Oh, this is the wrong choice then, eh? So you take a deep breath and say that you hope you won't give offense, but that in your opinion, Alternia is the nastiest, ugliest, cruelest, most inhospitable, and most unfair place you've ever seen or heard of in a long life of travel and study. Even the plants are bloodthirsty. Even the soil is hard and mean. You've made many no friends here, but you've heard it's also possible to make friends with lions, bears, killer whales, and other wild and dangerous creatures. In fact, often here on Alternia, you felt that you've been locked in a cage with a bunch of such wild and dangerous creatures. As you've talked, you've been watching Fozzer anxiously for signs of anger. You're surprised to see that instead he seems to be loving it. I mean, it proves his point, it proves everything he's thought about. And what about our political system? Unfamiliar with it, generally speaking. You've already put your foot in it, so you go ahead and put the other one in too. You express the opinion that a violent, rigidly stratified, insectile social structure created solely to generate soldiers for a mad project to conquer the entire galaxy might raise eyebrows in some quarters. You admire natural selection and survival of the fittest as much as the next person, but this is overkill on a titanic scale. Oh, he's giddy with excitement. He's found. Fozzer is just excited that someone shares his views. As you've been speaking, Fozzer's smile has grown wider and wider, and he's shown other signs of approval, such as jumping up and down and whirling around. He pumps his fist in the air. Forward to perfect socialism! It's so good to talk with someone who hasn't been hypnotized from Wigglehood with counter-revolutionary pap. Someone who sees conditions on Alternia for what they really are, who sees the evil of the High Bloods. Someone who will march in the vanguard of the workers' revolution to face unflinchingly the onslaught of the aristocracy. Perhaps, nay, probably, to die in a hail of bullets but never turn their back on the people. Let me embrace you, comrade alien. He does so. He's oily and smells like mossy soil and poor ooze, but this does not dampen your spirits. What better preamble for making a suggestion of friendship? Agreeing with people about politics never fails to bring friendship closer. But before you can bring it up, Fozzer, having first kissed you on both cheeks, continues. But we mustn't allow our celebration of the people's revolution to interfere with the honest labor that ennobles us. I'm holding you back from your ticket to the workers' paradise. Please proceed with your soil perturbation. All power to the people. That's arbitrary hemospectral discrimination. Forward, comrade! He waves his hand with a flourish and you start digging again. You wonder if it would be just as revolutionary if you traded places so Fozzer could do the digging and you could do the speechifying. but you don't wish to disturb the perfect harmony now existing between the two of you. Instead, you use your little available breath to inquire what all this soil perturbation is in aid of. Why, a culprit, of course! Didn't you see the sign? This is the Happy Absence Pit to Park, Fozzer Vales, proprietor. Alternia's reactionary tradition is just to dig culprits anywhere without a second thought, but our revolutionary future demands that we have more respect for the dead, so I've created this wonderful innovation, the Pit Park. There's a clown concert being held not far from here, so I anticipate a brisk demand shortly. Best to be ready for these things. Having a lot of dead clowns lying around rotting on the property is unpleasant, not to mention unsanitary. Get them on the ground for Toronto is our motto here at the Happy Absence Pit Park. This was probably poor choice of voice frame, but oh well, I'm committed now. You're wondering privately whether a little class solidarity couldn't be extended to purple bloods, remembering your dear friend Karaka Pierrot, when Fozzer seems to give a jump. Also Chahut, she's a purple blood, isn't she? No, that is not ghosts! Oh? Grateful for an excuse to stop digging, you turn to look in the direction Fozzer is staring, leaning on your soul perturbation lens. You don't see anything but fog. You ask what is not ghosts. Nothing is. I'm a dialectic materialist, and if any ghosts come around the Happy Absence Pit Park, they should be aware that I won't believe in them, so they might as well go somewhere else. Right. You confess that you don't see anything but foggy darkness and humped and pitted ground, where you now guess piles of cold Alternian exoskeletons are buried in the culprits. You don't see any ghosts because there's no such thing, but the past few nights I thought I saw beams of light shining up out of the ground. Almost as if metaphorically, of course, some of the exoskeletons in the culprit had gotten hold of some flashlights and were shining them up through clinks in the soil. Look, there it is again! Oh, this time you see it. A column of light that flashes up through the fog and is gone, seeming to come from a crack in the ground, which it briefly illuminates in blinding white. Fascinated, you move toward the crack, which is now dark and invisible again. What are you doing? You look at Fozzer in surprise. He seems terrified. You ask tactfully whether he doesn't think you ought to see what that is. For example, it could be some infrastructure malfunction that could blow the Happy Absence Pit Park and all its inhabitants, living and dead, sky high. You're not even sure they have infrastructure in Alternia, but one can't be too careful. I mean, they have roads, that's infrastructure. And an electrical grid somewhere. I mean, the houses, hives, have power. Although it's organic, sorta, so maybe not. I know. They have roads. That's infrastructure. They have at least one form of infrastructure, that's for certain. Well, maybe you're right, we are fearless revolutionary cadres after all. You can hear his teeth chattering. You move toward where you think the flash came from. Fozzer close behind you, peering over your shoulder. You can't help wondering where he'll be when the vanguard of his revolution's braving hails of bullets. You very much hope that his revolution, if it ever comes, won't happen while you're around. There it is again. Just then a whole series of lights flash silently up from the ground, making columns through the fog. Fozzer jumps and howls behind you. Non-existent! You tell him there's undoubtedly a logical explanation, though you have to admit that you had the weird feeling just now when the lights appeared, like a momentary dizziness or feeling of discontinuity. But you're more curious than ever now. Murmuring comforting things to Fozzer, you start digging right around where the lights you just saw came from. Then it's weird. Because you break through some kind of thin crust, as if the soil in that particular place is just a few inches thick over a brittle surface that your shovel goes right through like old pottery. You wonder whether you've inadvertently dug into an old coal pit, but what would bright light be doing coming out of an old coal pit? And in some weird way, it doesn't feel like a coal pit. It feels like something metaphysical, like a reality itself is particularly thin right in that spot, and you've broken through the very fabric of it with your soul perturbation lance. You dig around the edges of the hole, enlarging it until it's about a foot wide. The darkness within makes the darkness of the Alternian night seem bright by comparison. It's so dark that the soil falling into it and the part of your soil perturbation lance poking into it seem to vanish completely, as if on the other side of that hole, reality itself gives out. You and Fozzer stare curiously down into this hole. Suddenly, a blinding but strangely blank light bursts up out of the hole into your face, and at the same time there's a deafening sound, which seems to vibrate the very framework of reality, like a gigantic needle scratching a gigantic record. Grrrch! You're standing in the foggy night holding a soil perturbation lens that has been handed to you by Fozzer Phase. He points to where he's just been digging and you begin digging in the same place. We're doing this again. We're going back, looping. The moss that covers the ground is tough as leather and the Alternia soil is rocky, hard and unforgiving. No surprise then, therefore, before long you're sweating profusely. But you feel strange, like you were just standing somewhere else, doing something else, seeing something else. The after images of a blinding light and a deafening sound seem to linger in your eyes and ears, but around you is nothing but dark fog and bare ground humped and pitted. You must have had a dizzy spell. You shake it off and begin perturbing the soil. No exertion is too great for the pursuit of friendship after all. Fozzer watches you with satisfaction. Honest work is a wonderful thing. All hail the old regime, eh? You look like a walking cheese, but your muscular development is impressive. What do you think of our plant? What has been your impression of it in your visit? It's by far the worst place. Is it gonna loop back to the same thing again? The feeling comes out of you that honesty is the best policy, it's a lifelong trial, it's the worst place ever, blah blah blah, bloodthirsty plants and dangerous creatures. That's a bunch of wild creatures everywhere. No doubt you could have anticipated that blunt honesty like this would give offense, and indeed it seems to have done so. As you finish your remarks, Fozzer is frowning darkly. So you've come— he did have a change there. Oh, glory to the old regime. Right. So you've come to Alternia as an uninvited guest only to criticize and judge our civilization, eh? No. You know enough about our society, our billions of years of evolution, our painstaking rise from mud-dwelling insect-like ancestors, the political and sociological theories of our statesmen, philosophers and scientists to make these judgments, do you? Well, no doubt you've done studies establishing what would happen if the hemospectrum groups were placed in different relations to one another. If, for example, rust bloods were the highest group and fuchsia bloods the lowest. Well, no, but I suppose your planet is so similar to Alternia that you have a firm basis on which to apply your conceptions to us. Not at all, but surely your aliens are similar enough biologically and physiologically to know how we feel about our own society? I thought not. I guess from the very first that you were nothing but a dilettante for socialist pseudo-intellectual spouting your ivory tower theories without the least idea what you were talking about. Well, smarty pants alien, I suggest you take your cheese-like person, your theories home to your own planet. It won't be long before her most high imperial condescension conquers your arm of the galaxy so that we Alternians can return the favor by standing in judgment over your society and politics. In the meantime, I bid you good siderum. And with that, Fozzer Veil sizes his soil perturbation device, as well as your hopes and dreams, and stalks off into the foggy night. Game over. Okay, but what was that? Okay. We have to go through iterations of Fozzer, huh? So. Yeah, okay. Alright, we looped back. But this time he is happy about that, isn't he? Now he's happy about that. Now we have... interesting. He's supposed no worse than a lot of places, with some good points and some bad. As a guest, it's only polite to say nice things about your host's homeland. Besides, meeting Fozzer has stoked your desire for a sweet friendship morsel, and a little praise and flattery often goes a long way to make people like you. So with the little breath you have to spare from your digging, you tell Fozzer that you found Alternia most interesting. The fierce rush of life here induces a salutary wakefulness, and boredom is virtually unknown. Also, the social structure arising from the hemospectrum and the multidimensional relationship matrix is very unusual, producing a fascinating array of possible interactions among people. You're looking forward to the day when you can tell your grandchildren about it. As you're speaking, a satisfied smile overspreads Fozzer's face. I'm glad you recognize the nobility of our ancient society with its orderly hierarchy and naturally degrees of privilege reflecting naturally evolved degrees of ability. You're pleased that your words are met with approval, but you're still a little troubled. Besides, if you can't keep up, the text is on the screen, ultimately. I know I'm supposed to be the one who reads, but I do the voice here. Lay off. You have an odd deja vu sensation that this whole exchange could have gone quite differently. Maybe even did go quite differently sometime in the past, or in some parallel universe. Yeah, literally seconds ago. You inquire timidly whether the total domination of the lower bloods by the higher on Alternia doesn't sometimes feel like oppression. Never! I myself am only a rust blood, so I lack the privileges of the higher bloods, but the most important things for society is that everyone should be in their appointed place and do the things they're suited for. If all the passengers in the rowboat keep their seats and row in the same direction, the boat will quickly reach its destination. If the passengers all jump up and start running around and grabbing the other's rows, the boat will capsize and all will be lost. You remark diplomatically that Alternia isn't a rowboat rowing toward the destination. You're wrong! A blind is very much like a rowboat dancing through the black waters of space. And as for our destination, all of us on Alternia aim at but a single goal every hour of every day, to serve her most high imperial condescension in our conquering her glorious galaxy-wide empire. Long live the Empress! Oh, well, you suppose the sense of being part of something larger than yourself makes up for a lot. It does! And naturally evolved systems are almost always more robust than artificially designed ones. They are! And it's true that Alternia's social structure does bring some semblance of order to a collection of 12 disparate troll subtypes. It is! Fozzer beams at you fondly. There's nothing that warms the heart like someone who thinks you're right about everything. It's so wonderful to find someone, even someone who looks like a piece of cheese, who is so intelligent and understands society and politics perfectly. Finally, a true friend! Okay. So his opinion, he was exposed to the light, and therefore he was changed. So what happens if we tell communist Fozzer that this place is actually not bad? He'll think we're brainwashed. I'm curious now. This is... yeah, blah 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 blah. Virtual unknown, blah blah, interactions among people. And you can tell Jill, Fozzer doesn't look as pleased as you hoped. So you find Alternia agrees with you? Oh yes, very much, you pant. You find it interesting and fascinating? Definitely. To you, the spectacle of those who happen to have been born with certain blood colors exploiting and expressing those who have not is just a picturesque detail. Well, you wouldn't go so far as to... You find nothing objectionable in a society where the strong kill the weak at will based on nothing more than the color of the bodily fluid, where the upper classes are see the lower as little more than inanimate objects whose only purpose is to serve them, where the whole corrupt society is structured solely to breed cannon fodder for a psychotic empress's mad plan to conquer the entire galaxy, or peoples to oppress. That certainly wasn't what you... While the streets run with rust, orange and gold blood, you stand unconcernedly and remark how interesting and fascinating Alternia is. While the fish people and their bluish lackeys strike the pap from the mouths of low-blood wrigglers, you smile pleasantly and remark how unusual Alternia is. Certainly not, but one can't judge other cultures by one's own. Oh, you can't dodge your class responsibility that way, you cur. You so-called intellectuals try to hide your fawning servility to the bosses by pretending to view society objectively without moral judgments, when all the time you're simply crypto-imperialist lapdogs. And you come to the happy absence pit park pretending solidarity with the oppressed. Pshaw! I see now that you're nothing but a catspaw of the oppressor class. Nothing but a cheese-colored Judas Iscariot sent as a spy, traitor, bootlicker, sycophant, murderer, monopolist, profiteer, slave trader, cannibal, parasite, technocrat, gangster, ectoplasm. No, you try to object, but Fozzer sees the shell from you and turns away. Turncoat, narc, double-crosser, weasel, hijacker, vulture, Visigoth, breathalyzer. Some of those don't make sense, but that's fine. You watch his back recede into the fog, your heart sinking with the wreck of your hopes and dreams for friendship. Okay, so his mind was changed, his history was rewritten. Fascinating. Fascinating there. Fascinating there, eh? Breathalyzer.